pretty excited though, but just can't seem to bring it, take it out of the box.
Doesn't really directly affect me.
Are you serious? Yes.
He's a state holiday. He was a Polish count who fought for the Americans in the American Revolution.
Ding, 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 ding. I'm impressed.
Father of the American cavalry.
Yeah. So the question is do you
What powers are here?
I think I'm.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Big in Chicago.
You better grab on. You better grab on. It's like, you better grab on to him.
Regroup and get back in order. Right? All right, so we got Farnsworth.
It being 5:30, I'll call this meeting of the Village of Peoria Heights Board of Trustees to order. If everyone would please stand for a moment of silent prayer or reflection, and then remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Turner, would you kindly call the roll?
Of course, Mayor. Trustee Steinwaddle.
Present.
Trustee Kazoo.
Present.
Trustee Simmons.
Present.
Trustee DeVore.
Present.
Trustee Weidenberg.
Present.
Trustee Reichert.
Present.
Thank you, and thank you all for coming. We'll now move to the approval of the minutes for the Board of Trustee meetings from May 20th and the special meeting on May 24th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Weisenberg, seconded by Trustee Kazam. Any questions or debate, comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Wanted to take some time now. We're down to mayoral announcement. And I wanted to just make some comments here and take some time and say that an article came out in the Peoria Journal-Star earlier this week that had misquoted me. Is the role of the mayor to offer a name to the board for consideration of any officer position. And for the fire department, I never offered a candidate for consideration. If I had wanted a candidate, I would have offered one, and I did not. What I have said around here on the horse's shoe, and what I've said in executive sessions, and what I've said to the press is that I value consistency, stability, and I did not want to see any backsliding in the fire department. Which leads me really to what this mayoral announcement is all about. So I would like to take some time today and say that I am naming on an interim basis for the time being Mr. Tony Artis as our Peoria Heights Fire Chief. Mr. Artis comes to us from the Peoria Fire Department, having spent from 1994 to 2021 as a firefighter, career firefighter for the department. He, from 2019 through 2021, he served as C1, Chief of the Peoria Fire Department. From 2018 to 2019, he served as Assistant Fire Chief of the Peoria Fire Department. From 2017 to 2018, he served as Division Chief of Operations for the Peoria Fire Department. And from January 2015 through January 2017, he served as a Battalion Chief for the Peoria Fire Department. I think with Mr. Artis, his name is synonymous with professionalism. I think he offers our young firefighters an educational route to a professionalism. I think by this naming, we are taking our fire department seriously. I am not going to have our fire department move backwards. I take this job, I take public safety seriously. I've spoken to Chief Artis, and he feels the same way. We are moving forward with a strong department, and I look forward to all of our firefighters learning under his leadership, and I expect excellence from this department. So thank you all very much, and I'd like to introduce Chief Artis as our new interim fire chief. Congratulations, Chief. Okay, so moving on, we'll continue with comments from the audience on agenda items only. If you would, come to the podium, give your name, address, and try to keep it to 5 minutes.
Kathy Stevenson, 1505 East Glen Avenue. I served on the ZBA for 10 years. I feel like this is way too close. During that time, we reviewed the Truskers project, Peoria Apartments, the 4500 building, and the Samuel projects. I'm here to express my concern regarding the proposed amendment to the TIF agreement with PHS Samuel LLC. This would be the second amendment in a span of 7 years, during which time little progress has been made by the developer in transforming East Samuel Avenue. In contrast, much of the visual transformation has been due to the efforts of private individuals, notably Dave and Lori Williams, who purchased and improved multiple properties originally under the developer's control. Most troubling is the indication that the proposed amendment appears to be tied to the previously denied on-street diagonal parking, an issue the ZBA unanimously rejected in 2018. I remind the board that this meeting included 8 pages of official meeting minutes that thoroughly documented significant concerns raised by both the ZBA and residents. An inordinate amount of time has been spent with the developer on this project going back to 2017. During this time, there were a number of starts and stops with last-minute changes, and in one case, variance was requested for properties the developer no longer owned. To further illustrate, I'm going to read some of the meeting minutes. Katie goes on to explain the parking variance. The current area typically holds 4 to 5 cars there, and with this parking could increase the number of cars to 11. She's referring to the diagonal. She states that she isn't asking for these spots to be held or requested for the building tenants. They would be for everybody. Katie talks about the other areas that are using this form of parking, Duryea and Kelly. Tessie states that the other areas use this method of parking is at commercial buildings, and this is a residential, and that the 45-degree parking would change the landscape. Tessie states that if we aren't counting those parking spaces, are you saying that you will have some units that don't have parking spaces allocated to them? Katie confirms. Elizabeth asks, have you thought about eliminating the 2 units on the first floor and creating all garage parking? Katie says that she has not looked into that, but is willing to take that into consideration. Rick explains that the garage units that have parking behind the garages cannot be counted as parking spots, as those will be used for the same unit. Katie says that the zoning says that the village requires 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling unit, so we are going to have some with more than others. Rick further explains that there are only 12 of the 1.5 spaces. Kathy states that when we changed the code, we believed that the developers would self-regulate the parking because they would want to sell their units. Katie explains that Peoria has changed the parking requirements and that she knows it's on her to be able to sell her units. Kathy asked for her to review how many of each type of units there are. Tessie answers with the following numbers: 5 one-bedroom, 13 two-bedrooms, 1 three-bedroom. Discussion is had that means that the parking requirement is 28 parking spots. To summarize, they proposed 12 spots for 19 units, and the proposed 11 diagonal spaces would not be exclusive to her building. tenants. In addition, the same developer pushed for diagonal parking on Kelly Avenue, which was recently returned to parallel parking. All other diagonal parking on Samuel and Duryea have no parking on the opposite sides of the street. If the current 4 to 5 on-street parking spots on the opposite side of the street are eliminated for passage, you would have a net gain of maybe 1 spot. A couple other issues from the meeting minutes. Kathy states that she doesn't know when the plans changed because originally it was supposed to be residential and commercial. Tessie asked Katie if she got the questions from the village engineer. Katie tells the board that permission of the building permit would kick off all of these happenings per the redevelopment agreement. Tessie asked if any of these things can be completed beforehand so that we can be sure before we have a building that is built. In summary, the developer stated unequivocally in public record that they bore the responsibility to make the units marketable. It is deeply concerning that taxpayers may now be expected to subsidize parking deficiencies that were known and flagged nearly 7 years ago prior to the groundbreaking. I urge the board to revisit the 2018 ZBA minutes, the engineer correspondence, original TIF milestones and benchmarks before finalizing any further amendments. Public trust and prudent fiscal oversight demands nothing less. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Any other comments? Comments going once? Comments going twice? Okay. Made it.
I wasn't sure if this is when I was supposed to or not. My name is Tammy Roush, and I'm here to request that the permanent parking spot be allowed in front of our...
And Tammy, yeah, and I appreciate it. You do have a thing on the agenda, so
Yes.
at that time, we'll ask you to come up and we can talk a
Okay,
little
so
bit
it's
more.
not this time?
Not at this time.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, no, that's better safe than sorry. Any other comments from the audience? Once? Twice? Comments are closed. We'll now proceed to old business. Do not think we have any old business, or is there any old business? Okay, we'll then proceed to new business, which is ordinance 2025-1762, an ordinance approving and authorizing an execution of a second amendment to the TIF District Redevelopment Agreement by and between the Village of Peoria Heights and P.H. Samuel, LLC, Peoria Heights TIF District 3. Trustee Kazam,
I make a motion to approve.
is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Trustee Kazam, seconded by Trustee Steinwaddle. Trustee Kazam?
Yes, so over the last few weeks and actually years, we've been having many conversations about the issue that Mrs. Stevenson just came up and spoke about. We have a proposal in front of us that does address many of the concerns and cleans up the agreement that was originally made in 2018 and then amended after that. After speaking to all of my fellow trustees and council, both for Klein and Associates and the village, I realized that many of my fellow trustees have concerns about some of these issues, and I'd like to hear some of those concerns this evening.
Okay. Anyone else want to share some concerns?
I can go.
Trustee DeVore.
I feel that a lot of what I was going to say, Mrs. Stevenson didn't kind of talk about, but the main point that I want to share with my fellow trustees is since 2016, this administration has spent over $1 million on studies for this community, whether it's comprehensive plans, parking plans, all of these studies that we've done in order to provide, you know, the best Peoria Heights that we can, and for everything to fit in line with the vision of what everyone wants to see. The community has taken time out of their day to come to these studies and express their concerns and what their vision is for the village as well. So not only everybody that sat here and volunteered their time, everybody who has spent time on the zoning board, Kathy and Rick Rick Pitzel were very influential in a lot of these studies, especially when it comes to the P.H. Samuel project. And so my question to all of you is, why would we spend over $1 million
to do all these studies and then not take advice from the professionals that they have provided the information to us. In the parking design narrative that was provided from Herman and Associates, it does state that there could potentially be 4 angled parking spots there without having to reduce the number of parking spots on the north side of the street. For me, that's the only way I can move forward to pass this agreement. I just think it would be a waste for us to not take the advice that has been given to us. And it eventually, at some point, we're going to have to, instead of having our backs against the wall to make a decision, start making decisions that fully fit against the narrative of the plans that we have laid out. And for the plans that we have invested a lot of public money into to be able to put this village where it wants to be.
Thank you, Trustee DeVore. And I should make it known, we do have counsel here. Of course, we have Village Council, but we also have Klein Associates, Nick Nelson as well, and I think we have the Developers Council here as well. So if you all do want to make some comments on any of this as we go forward, please don't hesitate. Just come to the podium, and we're happy to have your insight in some of this as well as we move forward in this discussion.
Well, Mayor, what I would say, the two most troubling parts of this agreement right now for my fellow trustees are, one, too much angled parking along the south side of the street, and as Trustee DeVore stated, not taking the advice of the village engineers at the time. I don't mean to correct you, Trustee DeVore, but I think you said 4 angled spaces.
I'm sorry, I meant 7 angled spaces, 4 spaces on the north side. Yes,
yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I knew what you meant, but I wanted that to be clear for the audience and the people watching at home. And then also the exclusivity of those spaces, that they would not be for the village, as was originally stated, that Mrs. Stevenson read the minutes from those meetings, that they would be for exclusive use for patrons or tenants of that building. Is that correct? Those are the two?
Yes, no other business in this community gets exclusive rights on public property. So the 4500 building, even their parking spots when they were angled were not exclusive to that. Oliver's does not have exclusive parking there. I'm pretty sure Springfield Clinic also does not have exclusive parking for theirs on the public right-of-way. If it was their property, I would feel differently, but this is our property. This is public property, and I do not, if we start giving exclusive parking to them, every other business is gonna want exclusive parking as well.
Yeah.
Any other comments from the trustees on this? Council, would you like to step forward to the podium and say anything, or please?
Yes, hello, Jim Beckendorf, counsel for P.H. Samuel. And so with respect to the exclusive parking, since that seems to be a particular issue on this case, bottom line, in order to go ahead and basically have everything approved and get the amendment set, that is, given the fact that that has become a seminal point of this, basically the developer would be willing to go ahead and remove that at this point in time from the agreement and go ahead and basically have the agreement approved from there without that.
Thank you very much. That does probably make things sense. So with that being said, if you don't mind, I'll entertain a motion if you want to amend. Trustee Kazam?
Yes, I make a motion to amend.
I second it.
Okay, so before we move forward, let's make sure I understand what we are amending.
Well, Mr. Beckendorf spoke to the exclusivity. I would like to add to take the advice of Herman and Associates, and I have to ask counsel exactly how to do this. I mean, this evening I'd like to make an amendment to have no exclusivity on the angled parking and reduce the number of spaces to the recommended 7 on the south side of the street. The engineering of that, I guess, comes at a later date. I don't think it's up to the Board of Trustees to design that parking.
Correct, yes.
So those, the number of spaces and the exclusivity piece are 2 separate components.
Okay, so we'll need 2 separate amendments.
I think we would need 2 separate amendments.
Okay.
Okay. So I'll take the exclusivity component first.
Okay, so, and that was your understanding too, Trustee DeVore, or Trustee Weisenberg?
Yes.
Okay, so the motion to amend is to remove the exclusivity of the parking made by Trustee Kazam, seconded by Trustee Weisenberg, Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote on that.
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg, I'm sorry, could you clarify for the record, was that an aye or an A?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, sir.
Okay, motion carries. So we've now amended it to remove the exclusivity of the parking. Is there a further amendment?
Yes, so I would like to add a second amendment to this. It looks like Nick has something to say before I make the amendment.
Well, more of a question, I guess. So if it's the report I read on the parking, there were different options of it. Is there a way we could, and it seems like you are all wanting to stick to what those options are, you know, depending on the angle and then the number of spaces. So if you want, we could basically bring that document in as an exhibit, replace the current parking plan the developer submitted with that engineer's report, and then say any parking needs to be done according to that plan, which I'm assuming is okay with everybody. So that way the developer has flexibility if they want to do parking or not, or if they want to change the configuration, as long as it conforms with that. So that may be the easiest way to do it.
I'm on board with that. However, when this was done, they did, this developer owned the properties on the north side of the street, so some of these parking options include that entity to be able to make the decisions for the north side of the street, but they no longer own it.
We can limit it to the public right away directly in front of
Okay.
the building, so.
Okay.
Is everyone comfortable with that?
I think so, yeah.
So with that being said, Mark, we've passed an amendment already. Do we need to remove that amendment and then adopt the findings of the engineer's
Well,
report?
again, if I'm understanding, you're talking about the number of spaces, right?
Yeah,
Configuration, not the exclusivity.
so maybe the amendment could be, and I don't know if we need to do them both together, but maybe the amendment could be changing the language to allow for parking in conformance with the engineer's report, and then replacing, sorry, Sarah, the exhibit that I keep having you put in, replacing that entire exhibit that she's been graciously putting in that draft with the engineer's recommendation, and doing it that way. So
Well,
amend
I
exhibit
don't
2.
quite understand. I'm sorry. We were given 3 options from Herman and Associates. The one that we have discussed feeling is most appropriate would be 7 angled spaces along the south side of the street, not reverse in though, pulling in, and then keep the 4 parallel spots on the north side.
Correct.
Yeah.
So do you need it to be, I guess what Beth is saying is, do you need it to be in accordance to this? Because this says 7 reverse-in spaces.
I wouldn't recommend reverse in at this point. And I don't recall seeing Herman Associates drawing, but I'm sure it's fine, so.
So do you just want to make a recommendation that, or Wayne, 7 angled
45-degree angled parking.
7 diagonal parking spaces
If we do
on the
that,
south side.
Let's not
that's
say
easy.
the degree because.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't
wouldn't
care.
say the
I don't
degree
care.
either.
No.
Okay.
So you have to make a second
Yeah.
amendment.
Thank
I
you.
make a second amendment to include 7 angled parking spaces along the south side of Samuel and 4 parallel spaces along the north side.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend from trustee Kazam, seconded by trustee DeVore. 7 on the south, 4 on the north.
Yep.
Non-exclusive parking spaces. On the amendment, is there any discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote on that.
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We're back to the amended original motion for the redevelopment agreement. Is there any further discussion or amendments on this?
I just want to clarify before we vote on it, this does still remove the deed restrictions.
Yes.
Everything still remains?
The
just
deed
amendment.
restrictions are contingent on the village making timely payment of the costs that are owed to date, or not, sorry, the increment reimbursing the costs that are owed to date. So,
Okay.
but yeah, assuming we do that, then yes.
Okay.
be great.
And this is on all the properties that there were no improvements
This is
on?
on all the properties that the developer conveyed that contain that deed restriction.
Okay.
Okay, so any further questions, debate, concerns? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you both for your hard work. And council and Wayne.
Nice job. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll proceed on to Administration and Finance. First item is approval to include Juneteenth and Kashmir Pulaski Day in employee handbook holidays. Trustee DeVore?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee DeVore and seconded by Trustee Weisenberg. Trustee DeVore?
Yeah, so we're just looking to include these two national holidays to our employees as well. I don't know how much really description it needs. We just would like to make sure that our employees are given the same national holidays as others.
So this would increase the PTO days of employees by 2 a year.
Yes, we are increasing as the PTO effectively to our employees here.
Is that, does that include the contract employees as well? Because I know that wasn't originally in their contract.
This will be included in the employee handbook, so if they use the employee handbook, then yes, it's my understanding that they will have, now.
Like, this would affect the police department that has
No,
contract
no,
employees?
No, not yet.
So this is just
They're
village
on their own, right,
Okay, so this is just administrative employees here?
correct.
Okay.
No collective bargaining.
Right, that's what, I just wasn't sure if it affected all employees or just.
Correct. Any other questions, concerns about Juneteenth or Count Kashmir Pulaski Day? Okay. Clerk Turner, will you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. We'll move along to Resolution 2025-12, a resolution of the Village of Peoria Heights approving proposal from Farnsworth Group for engineering and community development oversight. Trustee DeVore?
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-12.
Second?
We have a motion by Trustee DeVore, seconded by Trustee Kazam. Trustee DeVore?
Yeah, so this, in front of you, you have a proposal for engineering and community development. So this is going to be for multiple reasons. One, as we've stated earlier today, we're talking about consistency and stability, and this person comes highly recommended from Wayne to be able to help us with some of the projects that we have moving forward. We have a lot coming down the pipeline that's going to take a lot of development. So this provides us to be able to use this contractor for 12 hours a week, as well as, you know, any unforeseen circumstances that we should come up with or anything that may happen moving forward. It's more than just, we have more options than just Wayne that maybe would know kind of what's going on, right? So they can kind of work together, and it just gives us a little bit more stability with that.
Thank you.
Anything you want to add?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear.
Thanks. So, yeah, many of you know, in about 2 weeks, I'm going in for a fairly major medical procedure. So that will leave me off for at least 2 months. And so, and we've been talking about this, what does the long-term succession plan look like? So I think, you know, if I say if, you know, I'll be back, but I don't know if it'll be in the same exact capacity. But so this allows Farnsworth Group, and again, many of you may not know that I'm an employee of the Farnsworth Group under contract with the village, but this is a much more flexible arrangement for us. Mark Lee, maybe Mark could come up if, Mayor, if that's okay. Mark is with the Farnsworth Group and has much municipal experience in engineering. He also serves on the Zoning and Planning Commission for Galesburg, so that's good experience, in particular for what we're doing right now. So this almost looks more like a contracted city engineer type position. And then as time goes on, community development, things like that, you know, we can supplement through my services and things like that. So really just trying to be much more flexible with that in this arrangement, and I think that's it. But
Well,
I
thank
think,
you, Wayne, and I appreciate your candor in saying that. We were, Trustee DeVore and I had talked a little bit about how to touch around that, so yeah. But Mark, would you talk a little bit about your role here? Maybe talk a little bit about your ties to the Heights as well, and how you find yourself here today.
Sure. So my name is Mark Lee. Born and raised actually in Peoria. I've been around this area most of my life. I ended up starting with Farnsworth Group at the beginning of this year. I do live in the city of Galesburg right now. I've been on the Planning and Zoning Commission there for about 10 years. I have a lot of knowledge with zoning and codes, and I was at the meeting the other day with going through all the R1, R2, and I understood it all. It's not exactly riveting, but I understand it all. So I'm very familiar with that. I've been doing municipal engineering for over a dozen years now. I worked for a couple of years with the city of Galesburg itself as a municipal engineer with them. In the past 10 years, I've been back on the private side, doing a lot of work for a lot of areas around here, Macomb, Galesburg, all the way this way. Very familiar with what you do, roads, waters, sewer, all of that is definitely in my wheelhouse. As far as my ties to the Heights, as you alluded to, Jen's already smiling at me. So my mother actually taught at Kelly Avenue grade school for 40 years. A lot of my childhood was wasting time in the gym there, playing basketball while she was working on her room. She'd pay me off to go up to Ben Franklin to buy candy to leave her alone for an hour when she could. Did that a lot. And then my mom actually transferred to PGS. She retired. My older sister's actually still there. So been familiar with the Heights ever since I was a little kid. I've spent a lot of time here. Never actually lived here. We lived in the Peoria area, actually city of Peoria. But I have a lot of fond memories of Peoria Heights, and I'll be the first to tell you that it does not look the same as when I was growing up. Every time I drive down Prospect, it's like, geez, this is a lot different than my childhood, but it's amazing to see the growth in Peoria Heights. Some things I went to Slim Tippins when I was little, and that's still there, which amazes me. That little barbershop has held on this long, but I have a lot of fond memories, and I'd be happy to help you guys out however I can moving forward.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, with that all being said, any questions for Wayne, Mark? Any debate? Hearing none. Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. We'll move along to police with Trustee Weisenberg. First is a request for a road closure on October the 11th for the 3rd annual Red Sneakers Peoria 5K Walk Run. Trustee Weisenberg?
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve the request for road closure on October 11th for the 3rd annual Red Sneakers 5K Walk.
I second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Weisenberg and a second by Trustee Simmons. Trustee Weisenberg?
So this just closes the street between Glen and on Kingman there. So it's Glen, sorry, I should have been on that page already. So it closes both lanes between Kingman and Glen, and then one lane along Prospect.
Yeah, and I know we have our Chief Earhart here. This is not the first time this group obviously it's the 3rd annual, so we haven't had any issues.
No, sir. No,
Okay.
it's old hat for us.
Okay, great. Oh, we do? Oh, yes. Yes, sir, please come on up. Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Chris Horan with Red Sneakers Peoria. Thanks for all the support over the years. Actually, just wanted to clarify, we would be okay with just having the street out here blocked off. We don't need both streets.
You don't need the one here on the side on Kingman?
No, I think just the one here in the front would be ideal just because of how the layout. I tried to offer, I wasn't sure kind of how you typically close streets, so I tried to offer a couple of options. The primary option would be just the both lanes out here closed off, if that's feasible. Sort of like, I think the Fine Arts Fair.
I don't think that's in the document, though. So you're wanting both lanes of Prospect closed?
That would be, so that's the primary option.
I think that's their first option.
We have
their
several
first choice.
options that we can discuss if that's not feasible.
Between Kingman and Glen.
Okay.
Number one is both lanes.
Option one.
Okay. And did we do that last year?
I don't know if we did it for them last year.
We
did-
have not done that,
okay.
so we've grown from 100 to 200, and we're expecting over 300 this year. So last year at 200, the entire plaza was full. So for us to have more guests and have additional activities, we would like some additional space.
So I will say, I've attended this event in the past, and I think it was the first annual when I was there, and it was a little haphazard where everyone was kind of crossing from Tower Park to Grandview Drive, across Prospect. There was an officer there trying to manage traffic, but traffic was kind of coming in and out while runners and kids were kind of running back and forth. So I did see, they've had this, I think it's just so that they can access Tower and then run or walk the 5K on Grandview Drive.
Okay, so
And
we're
we
gonna
would-
close Prospect.
And we would have, we had like a smaller bounce house slide. We'll have like a larger one on the street that'll give us more space to accommodate that and the booths.
So we just did this for the art fair, Trustee Weissenberg, but in this case, it would just be the one block, right?
Correct, we just want, just the block right here between Glen and Kingman.
I have a question. So if you're going to be walking on Grandview Drive, we would not be diverting traffic that way. We would have to send them that way. Is this correct?
Down Kingman.
No, we would have to send them west on Glen if we're blocking it right here and not allow them to go that way.
I think
I mean, we don't control Grandview Drive
Right.
ourselves. But I'm saying we wouldn't want to send all the traffic to go around and
Where you're
continue
running.
on Prospect that way.
Well, I guess it depends on where they start. Are they starting on Kingman or are they starting on Grandview on Glen?
We're gonna start on Kingman.
So
and-
then they would be on the outside of that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just speaking concern
So-
of how it would work.
Yeah, so I think you start here at the corner where our Bison is, right? Kind of where the.
Right,
Buffalo is,
we cross the street where the Bison is and then run down
and then run
Grandview.
down that way. So I would think
I
they would
guess-
have to go down Kingman.
Yeah, my question is Grandview Drive closed for them to walk?
No, in the past, we haven't closed Grandview Drive. We have, cones. We have, we work with Shazam, and they put up cones and sort of do the race course for us. And traffic, being a residential street, traffic has been able to be maintained while we do our walk run. So we can be on one half of the road. And I think we also had maybe a police escort or a police squad
Right.
car kind of helping with
Because
that.
there will be traffic coming from the north trying to go south, and there will be traffic coming from the south trying to go north. So all that traffic's going to go onto Grandview Drive.
Right.
Unless we divert them the other way.
Right, so we, the cars continue to operate while we had our walk run the past 2 years, and it hasn't been an issue.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think what will happen, I think this is what Superintendent Chandler is saying, is that because you're blocking off Prospect here, it becomes a pinch point.
Sure.
And so all of the traffic that would normally flow down Prospect is going to be pushed onto Grandview Drive. And then you're going to have these runners and walkers dealing with what would originally just be going down Prospect, and now they're going to be going down Grandview Drive along with the walkers and runners. Is that?
That's what I'm saying.
So we're essentially diverting the traffic into the
Could
runners
we-
and walkers.
Could we divert the traffic on Kingman then, since we're not closing Kingman?
Well, if we were, yes, we could, the southbound traffic could be diverted there, and then the northbound could be diverted at Glen, and then sent to like Bellevue to continue up to Prospect.
Chief Ahart, any input?
Yeah, that's where I was going.
I support Superintendent Chandler's. I mean, if you're taking the traffic out of Prospect and sending it into the race, that's not
bad news.
ideal.
That's bad news.
We don't control Grandview Drive, so we'd have to get Park District Police to get on board with this also to shut Grandview. I guess the perfect world would be shoot the cars down Kingman and down Glen, but I don't love it.
What if we only do the one half of the street, so at least one, like the southbound traffic,
Between Kingman and Glen.
or like the northbound traffic could still go through, I don't know.
The only thing is they're still trying to cross Prospect to get to Grandview Drive.
True.
Yeah, and we've done that before for the taste.
I know, and it
That
was not
very,
safe,
yeah,
yeah.
precarious. And we wouldn't be able to use our barriers and all that kind of thing.
Is it an option for you, like if we let you use the parking lot, would that give you more space if we didn't have cars that, you know what I mean? Was that something we could do? Use the parking lot for like square footage instead of parking?
Or another option was we talked about Kingman could be shut down. Is that an option so that we're not?
I think that sounds,
I'd prefer to shut down Kingman than
Then, yeah.
Prospect.
Then we would just have the same procedure as the previous years where we would just be crossing.
yeah.
Right, and most people will be crossing right at the beginning of the race, right?
Right.
So it's kind of a controlled situation for a few minutes.
Yeah, it's a few minutes of crossing, and then what happens in the past is as people are finishing, they'll gather, and then they'll wait for a cross.
I think that's the best preferred scenario. You have both parks there for the children, which is
Right.
very nice, and so,
Yeah, I don't want to put anybody in danger.
no.
Right, and I can suggest that we have the red light here flash red instead of it possibly being green sometimes. We can have that where people are actually stopping right here before they continue north to kind of control the traffic heading
Okay.
that way.
I didn't realize these were multiple plans.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, it sounds like we probably need to put some specifics on this
Mayor, if I may?
Yeah,
There's
Trustee
also
Simons.
stipulation here. It says our preferred street closure timeline for any of the options is 8 a.m. to noon, and if this is not feasible, then 10 a.m. to noon is the second choice. So what time are you wanting to propose that you need for the road closure? Okay, to get it set up,
Yeah.
make it easier on Public Works to get the
Yeah, if we're going to be
barricades
using
up.
the concrete barricades, yeah, we would have to come in Saturday morning and close that down and then, oh, but if it's just Kingman, that's a lot different than closing Prospect, for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so do we want to put some specifics on this request?
Yeah, you may re-motion it.
Absolutely.
Before we go, can we, if we are closing Kingman, make sure that the residents that access their garage here on Kingman know that this is going on? Because there are a couple residents right here that would be blocked
Would that
if
be
we
an,
block the street.
would that be an on-solve notification as well?
Well, no, I mean, we would send out that the road would be
For the road
closed,
to be
yeah.
closed.
But I mean, someone would want to contact these residents here.
So you just want contingent on notifying the residents?
Yeah, I'm not trying to control how everything's being said, but I just wanted to mention,
Yeah, I have no objection.
in the past, I believe the art fair has talked to them and just let them know that, it's going to be for a few hours. I'm sure they won't object, but
And if they do, our last option was to just do part of the road to allow them to access their garages.
gotcha, yep.
That's October. Okay.
Ready,
Yeah.
Mayor?
Okay, please.
Yep, I move to approve the request for road closure on Kingman from 8 a.m. to noon on October 11th, 2025 for the third annual Red Sneakers Peoria 5K walk run contingent on notifying the residents.
Thank you, Trustee Weisenberg. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion by Trustee Weisenberg, a second by Trustee Simmons. Any further debate or questions on the motion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote.
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
That motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have a request to approve a permanent handicap parking at 1107 East Moneta Avenue by Mr. Gary Roush. So, Ms. Roush, if you wanted to come up. Oh, but first I'll entertain a motion. Trustee Weisenberg.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve the request for permanent handicap parking at 1107 East Moneta Avenue.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Trustee Weisenberg and second by Trustee Steinwaddle. Now, Ms. Roush, if you would like to come up. Jump the gun there.
Yeah,
Still learning. It's just a month in.
That's okay. The only thing that I had to add is it was pending approval that we got the permanent placard, which I brought that in tonight to show you guys that, yes, we did get the permanent placard for him. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Roush.
Thanks, Mayor. I know when we initially discussed this, it was, I think we'd had one previously, and Chief Ahart, if you could speak to this, I think we previously had one request that we had granted in the village of Peoria Heights for on-street handicap parking. My understanding is that person has since moved.
Correct.
So I think we may be in the process of removing that one. So the discussion is, you know, moving forward, how do we feel about granting handicap parking on public streets? I have some concerns how our houses are so close together, and street parking is such a commodity here in Peoria Heights. I worry that if we start issuing a lot of handicap parking on the streets, that it would impede some parking. I didn't know what the other trustees felt about that.
I share that concern, Trustee Weisenberg. We just, you know, I am very sympathetic to people's disabilities and their ability to get into their own home. I know in our previous meeting, we talked about some alternatives to you being able, to the family being able to access the door, but I don't know if this is something we want to take on, as this will become kind of like an open door policy where other people ask for this
Right.
type of consideration.
And one of my other concerns was it's not exclusive parking, so anyone with a handicap placard could park in it.
That's right.
So if we get two neighbors that just happen to have handicap placards, do we increase that to 2 spots,
Yeah.
3 spots? I don't know. It seems, I'm not sure if that's a precedent we want to set.
Is there any other questions or debate on this?
Mrs. Roush, did you guys look into like cost or anything about adding in a driveway or any other parking things that we could work with you, like, that you could work with?
At this time, no, we hadn't, because we were waiting to see, because you guys, at the last meeting that we had brought this up, there was some discussion, you know, of that, and then some discussion of working with you guys and trying to get that approved. And so we haven't looked into anything as far as that goes just yet, pending what was going to happen here tonight.
Okay.
Looking at Google Maps earlier with this, I saw a carport attached to a shed or a garage or something off the alley behind the house.
No, the
And-
carport's no longer there. It
Yeah.
had gotten knocked down when they redid the house with the fire and everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Is the approach still there off the alley, or is there access from the alley to that?
Yeah, we put a fence up in the backyard,
Okay,
and then we put a gate up in the back there so that we could access.
okay.
So yes, we would be able to access that if we needed to.
Okay, yeah, because I drove past the house earlier today, and I just saw that there looked like a car-sized opening that you could open in the gate.
For the gate,
As
yeah.
well as
Yeah.
a concrete approach into the yard.
Mhm.
And I saw where it looked like the carport had been torn down, so I was just, do you have any intention to rebuild that carport at any time, or?
I mean, if that's an option, if that's something that we have to do, you know, in order to allow him easier access, then yes, we could.
Okay.
So if you use that, is that approach closer than the street?
I mean, it's about the same. Yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it, it looks like it's about half, same distance from the alley.
So would it be
Parking there.
possible just to extend the temporary while they make some adjustments to open the fence for that access to happen, as opposed to setting a precedence?
We've got access to the fence, so we wouldn't have to make any adjustments to the fence. It would just be putting another carport up on the garage itself.
Okay.
Do you have an improved surface where that car would sit already, or is it just grass right now?
It's just grass right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is what it was before. It was, well, no, not necessarily. It was rocks.
Rock.
So it wasn't concrete. It was just rocks that was
Okay.
sitting there. Yeah.
If we extended the temporary parking up front to make time for you guys to kind of get that more accessible for you and usable and ready to go, would that be acceptable for you?
Yeah.
So could we just vote to extend the temporary handicap?
Well, she's still under the original, didn't we give the 90 days? Or
Yeah, what was that,
when,
90 days?
how was their
told-
original?
Yeah, I was told,
Or it was
when
100.
the agenda was put on for tonight, that it expires tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I
if we
didn't realize
could
that.
give her, you know, another 90 or 60 even, in order to get a carport put up and make that accommodation for you.
Mhm.
That way he's not affected by it, and we're kind of working together,
Right.
meeting halfway on this. So could we, I don't know what we need to do that.
Yeah, a motion to amend is always appropriate.
Yeah, okay, I make a motion to amend.
Okay, so it sounds like a motion to amend for an additional 60 days, or?
Would that be, you think, enough time to figure out a carport and everything? That gets you through the summer at least, so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay, for an additional 60 days.
So there's a motion by trustee Reichert to amend to allow for a temporary parking for 60 additional days. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second by trustee Steinwedel. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
That motion carries. So we're back to the original motion, which is now to allow for a 60-day temporary handicap spot to remain. Any further discussion on this?
Just clarification, so after the 60 days, it automatically expires, there's no more extensions?
Yeah.
And
That it would come back to the village board, but if we wanted to do
Can we-
anything else.
can we just amend it so that it expires in 60 days?
Okay.
That would be the net effect, right? As it stands, if
Yeah.
we extend it for 60 days, it's over as done 60
Yeah.
days.
So it
It would
expires
only come
tomorrow.
back to us if she asked to
Absent
extend.
another extension.
Okay. All right, so, okay, thank you.
Okay.
I would just clarify that it appears the board doesn't want to set the precedent of giving parking in this scenario, so we are giving you the 60 days to
Right.
try to accommodate.
Yep.
With that being said, you know, obviously there's probably some resources, if you need some help with that.
Okay.
That would help you out with that.
Yeah, and I don't think it should be a problem. It's just more, do we have to get a building permit to put the carport on there? Or is that something that we need to?
If you're replacing something that's existing, but it's not existing
It's
anymore.
been torn down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it hasn't been existing for
Yeah,
3 years now?
So you would need to
Yeah.
check with zoning.
Council,
Probably.
if it's not a permanent structure, I mean, a carport, is that considered a permanent structure?
It dep-
Require building permits for carports.
Yeah.
I don't think we
I don't
do.
think-
Putting,
I've never been confronted with that question,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want to say off the cuff.
Could you just email Sarah Wickbrock in the morning? And ask her if you need a permit to do the carport or anything like that?
Sarah would know.
She will tell you all the things you need to know.
Will do.
Sound good?
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
So 60 days would be August 6th? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we're again back to the original motion for the 60 additional days for the handicap parking. Trustee Steinwaddle?
aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Clerk Turner. Yeah, because,
It's okay.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
thank you, and I'm stepping out of my lane, so my apologies, Clerk Turner.
No problem at all, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, now we're down to ordinance 2025-1763, an ordinance amending Title IV of the Village Code to regulate and license bodywork establishments. Trustee Weisenberg?
Thanks, Mayor. I move to adopt ordinance 2025-1763, amending Title IV of the Village Code to regulate and license body works establishments.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Weisenberg and seconded by Trustee Simmons. Trustee Weisenberg?
Yeah, so this is just an ordinance. A lot of municipalities have taken this up. This just requires that businesses that operate body works services are licensed. I think they have to be licensed by the state of Illinois, and they're going to apply for a license with us. We're not sure of the application process just yet, but it just requires them to be licensed to provide that work.
Okay,
Do you
thank
want to
you.
clarify Body Works?
Yeah, that's,
Body works is like massage parlors.
Thank you.
not cars.
Not cars.
Not
I was thinking
No.
cars. I thought you were thinking
No,
you want a car.
not cars.
Okay.
And I can tell you this ordinance brings us in line with all of our neighboring communities. Many of them have adopted similar ordinances, so this is certainly patterned after our neighboring communities, with a goal toward being, sort of consistent.
And Mayor, I do have an amendment to this, if I may.
Sure.
Sure, I moved the strike, I moved to amend ordinance 2025-1763 by striking section 4-10-6C in its entirety. And I will read that, what I am striking here just momentarily when I get to that page. It is, so section C, section 4-10-6C is a written price list for all services shall be prominently posted in the reception area in a location available to all patrons and prospective customers, or provided to patrons and prospective customers. I don't think we need to require a business to post their prices right inside the door. I don't think that is needed for public safety. So I would like to strike that.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to amend by striking 4-10-6, section C, made by trustee Weisenberg and seconded by trustee DeVore. Any debate or questions? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
That motion carries. So we're back to the original motion minus section C. Any other questions, concerns, debate on this?
I had some, reading through this, I had some issues regarding the ability for municipalities to send employees, government entity into a business without search warrants and things of that nature. I did talk to trustee DeVore, and I was informed that IDFPR does these inspections already through the state level, and it is already in place. And I did talk to Administrator Sutton, and I believe my concerns on that were taken care of. I will note, though, that this is not an ordinance with the intent to harass any particular a profession within our village. This is simply an ordinance to help alleviate any sort of criminal activity that might be going on under the radar.
Well said.
And I would like to add quickly, Mayor, just on this, is I want to also reassure everyone that the inspection provision is not intended to be punitive or weaponized in any way. It's just a basic tool to ensure that all businesses are following the same rules we apply across other industries.
Very well said. Any other questions, concerns, debate on this? Hearing none, Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Finally, we're down to purchase of a vehicle from Thomas Dodge in the amount of $39,417. Trustee Weisenberg?
Thanks, Mayor. I move to approve the purchase of a vehicle from Thomas Dodge in the amount of $39,417.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Weisenberg, seconded by trustee Kazam. Trustee Weisenberg?
This is just a vehicle that we had purchased and bid, and I agree, through the state bidding process?
Correct.
Is that right, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions, concerns, debate on the purchase of this vehicle?
This,
We budgeted for
this
this.
is a
didn't we?
budgeted vehicle,
Yeah.
yes.
Thank you.
We're talking about.
And Deputy Chief, would you mind I see it's for a Durango as opposed to a Charger, the advantages to a Durango as opposed?
Yes, sir. We're trying to phase out the Chargers, just ergonomically, it's better for the officers, their backs, the equipment.
Yeah.
This, like trustee Weisenberg said, this was budgeted, it just came in a lot earlier than we thought it would this year, so
Yeah.
it was kind of a surprise to us too. So we knew it was coming, we just didn't think it would be this quick, so. But yeah, they're a lot better, easier getting in and out for the officers. So.
And I appreciate you going to the SUVs, my knees still feel it, so.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, comments on this? Hearing none. Clerk Turner, would you call the roll?
Trustee Steinwaddle?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Simmons?
Aye.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Weisenberg?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you. So that's it for new business. We're down to miscellaneous business. This would be also a time for any trustees with committee reports to voice those reports. So any trustees wanting to make a report?
Yeah, I don't have a report, but I just wanted to make a comment for the community that yesterday was the ribbon cutting for the pump house building, which is the new community kitchen in our village. It's very exciting. It's a collaboration between Bradley University, the Turner Center for Entrepreneurship, and the Village of Peoria Heights. And their website is online now. I apologize, I do not have it, but I will get it to my fellow trustees. It's really a great opportunity for anyone who wants to start their own business in cooking. They can use that kitchen and then sell what they cook either at a farmer's market, or they could be catering and that type of thing. So there are some requirements as far as insurance and health department licenses, but that is all explained on their website.
Thank you, Trustee Weisenberg, or Trustee Kazam, and I really do appreciate you all coming yesterday as well. I think it was a really great showing, and I think we were all excited about this collaboration with Bradley University. I hope that this is the tip of the iceberg with future partnerships with Bradley. I think that we can collaborate a lot with the university, and that potentially brings more residents here into the Heights as well, something that we desperately do need. So I'm excited about this opportunity with Bradley, and hopefully we can continue our partnership going forward. Anything else?
I have a couple of things. I first want to commend Superintendent Chandler. I've been kind of annoying lately with him and sending him a couple of requests from some of our village members that need some tree trimming that were kind of blocking, pulling out of roads, or about to fall on their house, and I've gotten praise of thanks, so I'm extending it to you because you guys do the work. All I did was ask. So thank you for getting to it so quick, and they're all very appreciative of it. Secondly, Trustee Steinwaddle brought to my attention some possible maintenance projects on House 1 here. Some ceiling tiles, maybe a potential leak, some carpet replacement, some little tidbits here and there, maybe a fresh coat of paint that I've talked to Administrator Sutton about, and he is going to look into maybe getting some quotes and things to kind of do some freshening up on the building, so.
Okay, well that's
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
fantastic news. Thank you, Trustee Reichert.
I would also like to thank our fire department. In this time of transition, I believe everybody has stepped up and they've done a commendable job. You've lived up to your reputation. And to Chief Artis, I look forward to working with you. I appreciate you standing up in this time of need with our village. And I hope your tenure here is marked with wisdom, unity, and your commitment to serve. And I appreciate that. If you wanted to say anything, feel free.
Thank you, Trustee Steinwaddle. Mayor, trustees, I'm not really big on words. Pleasure to be here. I'm really looking forward to working with you and the firefighters to move the department forward in any direction we possibly can. We're looking forward to and to echo your words, they stepped up in the last couple weeks without a chief, so I appreciate everything they've done.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you, Trustee Steinwaddle, and Chief, thank you for those kind words. And I think we're all up here excited about what tomorrow brings. So I think you start tomorrow, right? So yeah. All right. Any other?
I would like to mention that I want to personally thank Superintendent Chris Chandler for giving me the water tour, getting me in the program. Also, former trustee Mark Goff. The history there is intriguing. And I just wanted to personally say thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. One quick thing, some exciting news. The tower opens on Thursday. So that has been a long time coming, but we've got it open and ready to roll coming this Thursday. So exciting stuff. Anything else, Wayne?
I would like-
Sorry, trustee.
Sorry, I didn't know Wayne was following that, but I would also like to thank Public Works for putting the spinners on the stop signs.
Yes.
You know, I know it's kind of silly, but they really do catch your attention.
Right.
Especially when you're coming through there on Illinois, what was that street? Illinois.
And Division.
Atlantic.
Yep.
Or Division?
Illinois Division.
Division, yeah.
Mhm.
They really do catch your attention.
Can somebody provide an update from the Poplar Park event?
I was just going to say something. I was going to ask
We
Brandon.
planted a lot of flowers.
We sure did, yeah.
Sure, I'll give an update. So this past weekend, Saturday, we planted 240 native to Illinois flowers down at Poplar Park to build a pollinator garden to support our local ecosystem here. It was fun. It was very successful. We had a little water issue thanks to Public Works. They saved us because we needed a hose to water these newly planted plants, and Trustee Simmons ran to the hardware store to buy hoses, and it worked out. We got them watered, they're in, we got them fenced off. I know there's a few deer hunters down there on Poplar Lane, so hopefully they keep the deers out of the garden, but
It's going to be nice. It's going to be really nice when it's done.
out of season, so I'm not getting in trouble. But no, it was a tremendous success. So if you have a chance, go down to Poplar Park and look at the pollinator garden. I mean,
A lot of wonderful community volunteers
yes,
that morning.
it was great.
It was a good group. Yeah.
Mikey, I don't know how old he is, maybe 8. He taught me a lot about the flowers I was planting. So it was a great event. So.
Thank you.
Great stuff.
I have a few things I can mention. We did get those stop signs installed at Paris and Atlantic by Walgreens, and Division in Illinois, which was a run from Monroe all the way to Boulevard, and it was difficult to see around that curve. Those are installed, and we put in the spinners on top of those to catch attention. I'll also say that the combined bills for the water and trash will be coming out in July. They will be combined once again in July. And also, we have Five Star Energy going through the town. They are not solicitors. They are contracted by the village to start the lead line replacements. And that is kicked off and moving forward currently.
222.
222 this year.
Well,
yes.
minus one because of the basement house over there by the church.
Yeah, well, we still have to replace 222, so we move on to the next list.
Gotcha. It moves
Yes.
up to it, right?
I'm glad to hear the bills are being combined because they almost got me. Thanks, Stephanie.
I have a note, sir.
Boy, I struggled with those as well. So thank you. I'm looking forward to that.
July, that will begin. Yes.
One more thing, Chris. Down on Gardner Lane, I noticed one of the flashing lights. So we put 3 flashers on those truck signs.
Mhm.
I believe one of them is no longer working.
I will check into
And
that.
I think it's the first one.
Batteries must be
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Wayne?
So you might recall we got like $760,000 through regional planning for sidewalk ramps along Glen. So they had some surplus funding, and we asked for more money originally, and they couldn't give us all the money, but they did give us another $75,455 for that. So didn't even have to ask. They just
That's great.
So again, it's good to have those friends at regional planning. And so that project total is about 1.1 million. So we'll start that project hopefully yet this year with some engineering. And again, that's just a first step, getting the ramps complete, and then hopefully getting more money for resurfacing and then completing that project here in the future. Sort of related to that, regional planning also told us of a funding opportunity with the state for transportation projects. And it sounds like there must be unobligated funds out there that the state has. So it was a big solicitation for projects. We weren't limited by the number of projects we submitted, and it was a very simple process, very simple application. So with the help of Herman Associates, we submitted for 6 projects that we've been
Nice.
kind of looking to do, and there are very few strings attached, so we'll see how that turns out, but it seems like the state may be looking for, to determine what kind of needs there are statewide as well, but hopefully, we can get something out of that too. Another exciting phase of a project for me is the HUD Healthy Homes program. We actually got our contractors into some homes beginning today, and I think they'll make all the home visits within the next 2 weeks. So this is just their assessment of the homes, and then from that, they'll give us a proposal and we'll move ahead. So I think that was a big step for that particular program. So happy to be moving ahead with that. So.
Thank you, Wayne.
Yep.
So,
I have one more thing, I'm sorry. before you go.
that's fine.
This is for Superintendent Chandler, another thing on the list. Do we have any children at play signs?
We do not. We can get them, yeah, for sure.
Hazard between Atlantic and Monroe. I've had a request for not a stop sign, although it probably might need one, but children at play, just, I guess people are flying down.
If I may,
I know that we've had.
Committee.
We have a committee with Trustee Weisenberg and Trustee Simmons, so maybe get with those two.
Please.
Yeah, it was a message I got this week. I almost forgot about it until we said something about the stop sign.
Anytime you have anything, just share it with us and we'll move forward.
Yeah, Trustee Simmons and I are planning to meet this Friday, hopefully.
Yep.
On signs.
Yeah, just get us like some recommendations
Yep.
and, just report back whenever you have those ready.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
All right, and Wayne, again, I appreciate your comments, and I think the line has been drawn for Mark. I mean, that's some shoes to fill there, so.
Yeah, he's a really no-handle.
Anyway, any other reports? Okay, so we're now down to general comments from the audience. If you have any further comments, please come to the podium, give your name, address, and try to keep your comments to 5 minutes. Public comments going once, twice. Public comments are closed. I want to first compliment the board. I think we had a lot of big issues on this this agenda tonight, and I think everyone acted very professionally, asked very great questions. I'm very, very pleased with the board and the new our new trustees here as well. So
It's an honor to be here with you, Mayor.
thank you all. So with that being said, I think Trustee DeVore is up. Trustee DeVore?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion to adjourn by Trustee DeVore, seconded by Trustee Weisenberg. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
Artist? That was kind of a surprise, wasn't it?
It's a very big surprise.
That's a good candidate. That's a good candidate.
No, I'm not disappointed.